Diablo Immortal has been all over the news recently, and it is unfortunately not for the purposes that Blizzard would have probably wanted it to. While the gameplay itself has been up to the mark, the pay-to-win style of Immortal has caused an outcry from the franchise's hardcore fanbase, leading to the game receiving some of the lowest scores in Blizzard's history. While some damage control is underway on the new release right now, the next question that arises is whether the game maker can be trusted with the next game in the series, Diablo 4. So, what did Diablo Immortal get wrong? Let me put it to you this way. One calculation found that once a player reached the level cap, it would cost them upwards of $110,000 to fully upgrade their character in the game. Naturally, this information has clouded nearly all discussions about Diablo Immortal, a game that was already contentious because it was initially restricted to a mobile exclusive version rather than a AAA release on a more established platform like the PC. The truth is that while microtransactions and loot boxes are inherently a controversial element in many modern games, it's only when they stand in the way of a player progression that things truly get ugly. The backlash against Diablo Immortal may not have been as severe if it had restricted its microtransactions to purely cosmetic items like skins, rather than legendary items that are essential in a PvP setting. But because players were essentially forced to pay extra money to play the game properly, it has been labeled as pay to win. Blizzard Entertainment appears to have entered full damage control mode since the game's release. Initial concerns regarding loot boxes and microtransactions were dismissed as misinformation by Blizzard executives, and the release on PC did eventually come. However, this wasn't enough to rescue the game in the eyes of its enraged fans. Now, what to expect for Diablo 4? Suffice to say, the mistake regarding the hyper-monetization of the game is one that Diablo 4 doesn't seem keen on repeating. When asked about this very aspect of the next release in the franchise, Blizzard community manager Adam Fletcher was quick to squash any talk of pay-to-win. He stated that the game will be huge and there will be tons of content after launch for all players, paying or not. He further addressed fans on Twitter by specifying that paid content will only be built around optional cosmetic items and eventually full expansions. Diablo 4 is scheduled for a 2023 release and is confirmed to be built for both the PC and consoles. The game will act as the natural sequel to 2012's Diablo 3, while Diablo Immortal acts as a middle game between Diablo 2 and Diablo 3, where players are tasked with figuring out what happened between those two games. It will be available for the industry standard price, and Fletcher also announced that more info will be released on it by Blizzard soon. With the major pay-to-play issue being fixed, however, what else will Diablo 4 be bringing to the table that is unique to the franchise? There's open-world gameplay. Unlike its predecessors, Diablo 4 will be the first Diablo game that features an open world. Different parts of the world will no longer be connected through different portals and maps, and the players will be given the freedom to explore its massive open world. Additionally, like other open world games, it will feature dungeons and strongholds, and players will be tasked to complete these open world activities to earn different rewards and materials. 150 dungeons are also confirmed to be present in Diablo 4 at this time. It is also known that after you clear a stronghold, it will transform into a typical town or a place populated by NPCs. Another interesting thing to note is that Diablo 4 will feature local events in its open world, and it will be up to the player whether they wish to take part in it or not. With all these new aspects being added in Diablo 4, the world of Diablo 4 clearly gives the game a significant advantage over Diablo Immortal. Up next, the ambience of the world. As long as we're talking about the Diablo 4 and Diablo Immortal universe, let's talk about its atmosphere and vibe in more detail. Compared to Diablo Immortal's world, which offers a grandiose fantasy feel, the world of Diablo 4 is bleaker and darker. By abandoning the epic fantasy graphical style employed in Immortal in favor of the dark gothic horror setting of the original two Diablo games, Diablo 4 is going back to its roots. Therefore, regardless of whether you enjoy Diablo Immortal or not, when you begin playing Diablo 4, you will enter a brand new world with its own unique ambience ambience and vibe. Now we have the character customization. Diablo 4's character creation is shaping up to be the most diverse and flexible character creation we've ever seen in the Diablo franchise, which further increases the immersion and replayability of the game. But when it comes down to variety in classes, Diablo 4 will only have 5 starting classes, while Diablo Immortal has 6. Let's take a look at these, starting with Diablo Immortal, for which we have Barbarian. Barbarians are a melee-based class who specialize in physical damage. They are savage warriors, and the class is great for players who like to get up close and personal with their enemies. Crusader. The Crusader class is melee-based, just like the Barbarian class. Crusaders specialize in both physical damage and magical damage because they rely on holy magic and heavy armor for both attack and defense. Demon Hunter. With the aid of their arrows, explosives, and mechanisms, the Demon Hunter class uses ranged weapons to harm their foes from a distance. The only kind of damage the Demon Hunter deals its opponents is physical. Monk. The Monk class is melee-based. They are sacred martial artists who harness divine power for devastating close-range blows. Physical damage is the focus of this class. Necromancer. Unlike the other classes on this list, the Necromancer class can summon the dead and command their minions to battle their foes. Magical damage is the class's area of expertise. Wizard. Wizards use magic to deal distance damage to their foes. The wizards create potent magic combinations by channeling their arcane energy. Magical damage is the focus of this class. While the 5 classes we have for Diablo 4 are Barbarian. The Barbarian makes a return in Diablo 4. It is of course still a melee-based class and has unparalleled strength. They wield an entire arsenal in the battle and specialize in physical damage. Druid. From all the information we have about the Druid, we believe that the Druid class specializes in both physical damage and magical damage, while also being able to damage enemies from afar. This is probably due to his ability to transform into a werewolf to fight alongside other creatures, as well as his ability to command the power of earth, wind, and storm. Necromancer. Similar to Diablo Immortal, the Necromancer in Diablo 4 can summon the dead and command them to attack their enemies. Therefore, this class specializes in magical damage. Rogue. Another class newly introduced. The Rogue specializes in both ranged and close quarters combat. His arsenal style includes poisonous darts and shadow magic, so therefore, we can conclude that the Rogue specializes in both physical damage and magical damage. Sorcerer. Similar to the Wizard, the Sorcerer class relies on magic to damage their enemies from afar, whether through hurling bolts of lightning or impaling their foes on spikes of ice. The Sorcerer class deals in magical damage. Up next, PvP comparison. Rather than continuing in Diablo Immortal's footsteps, a brand new PvP system is introduced in Diablo 4 that will enable players to access PvP whenever they want while they are playing the game. Players will be able to engage in this player versus player combat in the game's distinct PvP zones. Another recent addition to Diablo 4 is the target that is placed on your back if you are a high-level player. This will come with the champion status, particularly which designates you as a target for other players. So be careful if you succeed in becoming a champion in Diablo 4. One or more other players could be lurking around the corner at any time. And now, endgame comparison. In comparison to Diablo Immortal, Diablo 4's endgame appears to be much larger and contains more content. It promises to have more dungeons that can be unlocked as well as additional weapons, skills, and abilities. While Karn Reliquary, Tax Collector, Blood Rose, and the Ancient Nightmare were present in Diablo Immortal as bosses, in addition to these, more bosses are anticipated to be added in Diablo 4. In conclusion, the game promises to offer a proper challenge and worthy rewards for players who make it to the end of the game by offering more content than any of its predecessors. Now for final thoughts. In short, every aspect of Diablo Immortal will be improved in Diablo 4. In addition to a better and even more flexible character customization, a better PvP system, and more endgame content, it promises a bigger, more vibrant open world with more variety and open world activities to keep things interesting. According to what we currently know, Diablo 4 is going to be the franchise's best installment yet. It aims to redefine the Diablo series for its fans and establish a new benchmark for RPGs around the world. And that's a wrap for this video. So, are you looking forward to playing Diablo 4, or are you still holding out on more information to see whether it will be worth your purchase? Do let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and click the subscribe button for more videos like this. See you in the next one.